What's going on, Illumineers? Welcome back to another edition of the Freedom Gaming Podcast. Got a nice little three-pack for you, and we have some really exciting topics. Obviously, the big news, to the surprise of no one. If you haven't heard, we had some bans, the first bans in Lorcana's history, so that's quite exciting. And some cards that a lot of people kind of wanted to see gone. So we'll get all of our thoughts as well. Then we'll go over. We had a match in the ICL against the Forbidden Mountain last week. And then obviously as well, we had the SSG 15K tournament, which Mikey, Brian, Michael, and Joey were able to compete in. And then to finish up, we're going to do our tier list, our post-ban Hiram day one with very little testing at all going into our opinions and everything. And I'm sure we're going to get mad at each other for our crazy hot takes. So starting us off, we got, like I said, nice little three-pack. You got myself, Sisu, hosting and running the show. To my left, I got Mike. Mike, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Not gonna lie. After this weekend, I'm pretty sure I told Brian I was like, I'm good for a break for a little bit, man. Like I don't know, this meta's kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
And then sure enough, a couple days later, the juices are flowing. I'm excited again, ready to get
Meta's
back
not
into
boring
the
anymore.
Yeah.
yeah, ready to start cooking some stuff up. It's really exciting for sure.
Yep, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's I was even gonna really play until the May
Set
SSG event and then
champs.
set champs. Yeah. Well, so I mean, I was now we're ready to go. I guess we got a whole new meta to learn in a couple
Yep.
weeks. So and then obviously underneath me we got Brian. Brian, how you doing tonight?
Fantastic, man. Glad to be back home. Had a wonderful weekend, SSG, and then getting to hang out with everybody. And I was in the same boat as Mikey. Like, I'm the one that, when we'll talk about later, but I was like pushed him onto Ruby Sapphire because
Mm-hmm.
it was the best deck in format, and had an excellent finish. A bunch of our friends got some great finishes this
Yep.
weekend, and but I was like, yeah, I don't even think I'm gonna come back down for the SSG tournament in May, and
Mm-hmm.
ah,
Yeah. Now you might be.
Yeah.
so
Yep. No, it's
uh,
true. I mean, it's amazing what playing Ruby Sapphire for a weekend does to you.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I
only
didn't
make
want to play anymore. I was like, dude, what? This is like I'm not really having fun. I think I
and
said it into round 3. I was like, this isn't really fun.
And
Yeah, but
not only that, like the deck, like it's you have to take a special person. You have to be a special person to find fun playing it. Like Joey, like legitimately loves playing that deck. So you have to be like a special kind of person that enjoys that deck. But like you really don't do anything, and then all your matches are long. Like you're
there's
playing
no way around it.
you're playing
No way
deep
around
into
it.
the time. Like I mean, like I'm used to playing like 25 minutes, and like all right, I'm gonna go get something to eat real quick.
I
No,
don't think I went to time once. Just
yeah,
saying.
but to clarify though, you didn't have to play the mirror until you're top 8
Oh,
I
which is
played
the
against
time.
versus.
So,
three blue steels though.
Yeah, but in my case, I got to run into 6 mirrors out of my in Swiss, so it was brutal, man. Like, you want to talk about a slog and like
mhm.
brain dumping, and then trying to, yeah. So, um, what do you want to talk about first?
Oh, so what do you want to talk about the old Cody Rhodes thing? Yes, I guess let's go. Let's talk about the band because I guess that is the most important thing. I mean, as some of you, as everyone hopefully should have heard it. If not, I'm glad you came to us for your breaking Lorcana news. The company Ravensburger decided to ban the two cards, which is here in Flavisham Toymaker and then the Fortisphere, because it's just the one of the things I saw from Steve Warner was he posted that it was taking away from the fun of the game, which legitimately was. Um, and then to see, like it says on the page, like the greater diversity of successful strategies to competitive players, because it really was like the Sapphire Winter. Like if you weren't playing Sapphire with either Steel or Ruby, then you're gonna have a rough time, honestly. Like these were the top two decks by far. Um, and then just like whether you were playing with like a strong item build, like you saw with like the Sapphire and Steel, or you were just drawing a ton of cards, just having like that consistent draw engine with Hero and then the popsicle, and then just cycling it continuously between both Tamatoas, Happy as a Clam, and So Shiny. So, um, so that was really like a big change. Like this is a huge meta shifting change. Like when Bucky got banned, this or got errated, it was another change, but it wasn't like completely meta warping. Like Emerald Steel was
Hmm.
still played. Now this is like you're completely changing how the deck is run. like if you are gonna play Sapphire Steel, if you are still gonna play Ruby Sapphire, because you lose that
Justice for
draw engine.
Bucky.
So
Justice for Bucky.
that was
It's funny, man. Like I can't remember the amount of times where I was like, man, I'm probably dead here. And within the tournament, when I for the limited amount of time I played
mhm.
Ruby Sapphire, the amount of times I said, wow, I'm dead here, and I top deck a Hiram, and all of a sudden I'm right back in the game.
The
Yep.
gates are back open. Like
Yeah,
the gate was slowly coming down. The light is going out. You're about to get locked out, and then all of a sudden here comes this scrawny little rat, just holds everything open and like,
There
yeah,
was a game
boom.
on stream that someone was playing, and they were like 0 cards in hand, nothing going on, just like barely hanging on. And it's like top deck, popsicle, top deck, Hiram. Then
yep,
like top deck, then like another top deck, another Hiram. And then towards the end, they were like, how many cards in hand? 4. It's like the dude saw like 7 cards in a turn. And then it's like, well, now I got to deal with 2 1/6s on the board.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So,
I I think the ban. Um, a lot of people are thinking like, oh, this. I've seen a lot of Blue Steel players being really upset because they kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. But I do think if you did just hit the Hiram, Blue Steel has a lot of tools that are
mhm,
still very, very good and can churn through their entire deck very consistently.
yep.
Mhm.
And I think that was kind of what they were trying to hit. I think both decks, both Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel, are still going to be very good decks. I know we're going to get into the tier list a little later on what we
Mhm,
think, but I think this is still really good. I think their cores are going to shake up a little bit,
mhm.
but I don't think it's going to be something to where like when Bucky was hit, the deck kind of died for a while. I mean, I would it's back now. Not as potent
It
as it
was it
was,
was
but
secretly dead, but
Yeah.
John and
It
I knew going into Toronto that it was a fantastic pick, and
yeah,
it really was a great pick. It was just like
I just
the
failed at the end. If I
but
if I had won one of my last 2 rounds,
yeah.
I would have gone on a nice little run in Toronto, but it's okay.
But to
Shit
point
happens.
out that like I want to say kind of the masses in Lorcana, oh, Bucky's gone, the whole deck archetype
Mhm,
is dead. But that wasn't the case before. Bucky has been around for a while, but before we got the additional shift targets and stuff,
mhm,
the deck was still relevant. It was still producing results and
mhm,
whatnot. So I think there's nothing in Sapphire that compares to Flaversham as a draw engine, and that's kind of the point.
yep.
But it's still going to exist. The decks aren't going to go anywhere. Uh, Monsieur Arc, the Arc is still around.
Oof.
Is it good? Probably not.
Probably not.
But you have your workshop. You have
Mhm,
a bunch of
workshop.
other ways to draw, especially within like the shark archetype of the
mhm,
actions. Like, dude, you still have your Grandma Talas, you still have your visions, you still got the sail, and then a few other less known actions. But with the rise of steel prominence, then you might not see the shark archetype be as
yep.
relevant at the moment with Pete's coming down, but it's still going to be there. Nothing will compete with what Flaversham was as a draw engine, but
Oh,
that
yeah.
was across the board, right? And that's kind of where they were going with it. I think everybody kind of was either in one boat or the other of like, oh, you got to ban Popsicle,
Mhm,
and then others, I think, were more leaning towards the Flaversham as the
yeah.
real issue at hand. But I think what caught a lot of people off guard was the ban on the Fortisphere.
Mhm, yep.
I don't think they were expecting it, but I do get it because you can't give Sapphire Steel both the popsicle and
The
the
Fortisphere, yeah.
Fortisphere. So I think the decks will be fine. This is just kind of reducing the power level and giving all these other archetypes and color pairings a chance to shine, right?
Yep.
Um,
It's
so
giving the whole meta a boost. Like it feels like we
I love
have
it.
a new
Mhm,
set. Like it
Yeah,
really feels like a new set just dropped.
mhm,
it was ridiculously oppressive. And I took Sapphire Ruby this weekend, and I
mhm,
convinced Mikey to take Ruby Sapphire.
mhm.
And it felt like if you weren't playing Ruby Sapphire, you were giving yourself a handicap in that tournament.
Absolutely, yep.
And at the end of the day, it's like I love playing these kind of random decks and stuff, whether it's
Mhm.
Sapphire Emerald, whatever it is. But or my favorite the love of my Lorcana life would be the Emerald Amethyst,
Mhm.
but nothing felt worse than like getting blasted by Ruby Sapphire. So the only way to
Yep.
combat it at the time was playing the same colors.
And not even for anything that you did wrong either.
Yeah,
yeah, like you
and,
played as perfect as you could, and it just didn't matter.
to
Like,
that point, on stream in the 3K on Sunday, I played against Kylie,
mhm,
and he did everything. He shifted the Diablo. He was on
mhm,
Emerald Steel. He shifted the Diablo, pitched my hand. I had some stuff on board, but I think
mhm,
I wasn't even at 4 ink or 5 ink, and most of my hand was gone.
mhm,
And then top deck the Hiram, and off to the races we
mhm.
went. I had two
What's up?
pops out, top deck the Hiram, and I ended up winning 2-0 on the draw. And I
Yeah.
don't think that's
Yeah.
supposed to really happen. So uh, I think it's a great shakeup. I'm all for it. Even as a Ruby Sapphire player, like it had to happen.
No, for sure. And it's like you said, these decks aren't going away. Like the archetypes are still there. I think like we talk a lot about ceilings and floors with this deck. Obviously, Ruby Sapphire as a whole had a very low floor. Like anyone, like who's it? I believe it was the Candio. Don't think, just think, get to 8 and then
Yeah,
play
anything off
anything.
the top,
Anything off
anything
the
off the
top is
top.
playable. Like,
Yeah.
or I guess 9, I guess, if you're playing dragons or not. So, um, and that's just how it was. Like anyone could play it. Like, I mean, I took it to the competitive constructed. Never playing it before. I played 3 games with it,
Yep.
and and
You
I got
literally
12th with it.
borrowed the cards from me.
I borrowed the cards from you. I was like, let me see the deck. We'll take out 12 cards. I played 72 cards in the 3v3, and then I cut it down to 60, and I played it. And I got 12th with it. So
Yeah.
like, it truthfully is like, I mean, you just pick it up. Exactly. So now, like Steven says, not anymore. So now I think these decks are still going to be there. Like the floor is going to be that little bit higher now. So like, you're not just be able just to take 60 Ruby Sapphire cards and go,
Hmm.
because like every decision is going to have to matter. Like
Yep.
you have to rely on your talos. You have to like know exactly what you need from your visions. Like the how far I'll go, like what you ink is going to have to be like
It's
exactly. It's going to be
it's going
exactly.
to be a lot less forgiving, and I
Yep.
think it's something that
100%.
Mikey mentioned in the Discord, was that like you had all these Ruby Sapphire players posting good results, but you could truly tell when you had a top tier pilot
Hmm.
showing up with the deck, and I think those guys are still, your Hectors, your Jonathan
Yep.
Williams, those
Nah, man.
those guys.
Hector bought Wochuck's guide. He's off to steal some.
I think those caliber of players could still post great results.
Oh
There's
yeah,
going to have to be
absolutely.
some shifts in your 60 cards or 61 cards, however many you want to play,
Hmm.
but I think it's still doable. I do think Ruby Sapphire is going to be taking a back seat for the immediate future
Hmm.
until things shake out a little bit more. Um, but I think the items list is going to be there, and I don't know. The shark is still prevalent. That
No,
is an
it's
incredibly
still going
strong.
to be good. It just gives us a lot more decks that are going to be viable, and we could
Yep.
Yeah.
talk about what we think those are in the tier list. But I do want to mention you guys in the chat. We see you all. I didn't want to interrupt people's thoughts as they're going, but Skinner, I want to make sure I point out that I see you in the chat. I don't want you to get upset at me later. I don't want to hurt your feelings or anything. But I
You're not
do
being
want
mean.
to ask something to you guys. Why do you think they made it an immediate ban? Like immediate. The day it's released, this is immediately banned.
Because there's nothing going on. Like there's no
But I
like the
think that's
next.
more of a reason for them not to, no?
Well, you had a bunch. I think you had 4 tournaments over this weekend,
Hmm.
and then you had a handful between the first SSG tournament, and then I think Charlie's kind of really set the tone
Hmm.
for the meta. Um, but I mean, great question, right? Like,
Yeah,
is there something additional that RB plans on announcing within the near future?
potentially, maybe.
And but you're right. Like, they could have easily left the meta as is, not touched any of these cards
Hmm.
until we had the next major announcement for a competitive tournament.
Yeah,
Because
I
as
guess
it stands, there's nothing going on at
mhm,
the moment.
set championships. That's it.
Yeah, but
We have those in May. Give it a month.
I do think though, like, and I'm happy they did. Like, they caught on that.
Oh,
Hey,
I'm
this
happy
is.
too, for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
I'm a
think
think.
little
everybody is.
concerned. I'm a little concerned that it's going to create a hissy fit with people. Like,
Yeah.
just like when they get beat by something, they're going to tag all the Ravensburger people and say, I'm not having fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Ban this. When it's like, I mean, come
Yeah.
on. This was very apparent that we were in a tier 0 meta and something needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
don't think that that's going to be the case anymore. And maybe I'm
No.
wishful thinking, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
I do find it a little strange that they went from like the one errata, and then we
So
jumped to
I have a
two
thought about that,
bans.
and it makes sense. And I think upon like thinking, I thought the same thing. I was like, I was part of the errata popsicle, errata fortisphere, errata flabbersham. We're good. But then it makes sense because when they errated Bucky, global release hadn't happened. Like Japan, China wasn't out yet. Now Japan and China are out,
Yep.
and Fortisphere is released. Like there's no new regions getting introduced. So it's not like you can like reprint it. Like Bucky is printed, like the Japanese Buckies are printed
With the
like the
errata.
promo. Yeah, with the errata.
Yeah.
So like, and that was set too. So like Flaversham isn't going to get reprinted. Like that's a waste. That's a waste for them to reprint. Who knows, 100,000 new Hirams, 100,000 new Fortispheres and Popsicles, especially when no one is. Well, I guess people would buy Floodborne if it came out, but no one is like looking really for Floodborne outside of singles or the secondary market.
Mhm.
So I think that's why a ban makes more sense to me in this instance. But I didn't think they were going to outright ban it personally. Like that kind of came as a shock to me, just after the Bucky errata. But again, like when you like take a step back and be like, okay, yeah, like at that time, Japan wasn't out, China wasn't out. I think maybe even some European countries. I think Brazil may not have even been out. Like Portuguese may not have even been
Yeah.
out. So, um,
I agree with
but yeah,
Philip on this too. I like the ban when
yeah,
they see how relevant of a problem. Like, all right, look, if one tournament someone comes out and just blasts people with this deck, and they're like, oh man, this might be a problem, and the meta doesn't adapt to it, where it's consistently
Or the
up to
meta can't.
80%,
yeah,
80% of the
Yeah.
top 8. Like,
yeah,
The
come on, we
meta
need to do
can't
something.
adapt to it. Like
yeah.
every
Yeah,
Just
people, it's not like people weren't trying to like,
yep,
hey, what's the
mhm,
workaround? And it's not like it was set 3 or set 4. We're like, okay, if we go a little bit lower to the floor, a little bit
mhm,
faster, we can get under and win before they can establish their board.
yep.
But you had like a Jack on Trinodogs, which is about as fast as it can get. And
Doesn't even
then the
matter. Yeah,
yeah, the
six
Sisu
ink.
was coming down, and that was a wrap. Like,
Yep.
so I'm all for it. I think the community as a whole is super happy with it.
Hmm.
Uh, and now we just need some follow up on Worlds and some DLC
yeah.
news.
One thing
And
one thing I will say before we move on to the ICL stuff, um, there was a new employee from Ravensburger that spoke in the Steve Warner thing that said,
Yep.
expect to see a lot more content and
Mhm.
communication to be put out by Ravensburger.
yep,
Specifically live streams. He specifically said live streams as well.
Yeah.
yep.
So
So that's
And I
exciting,
know,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
eh,
we've given them a lot of, you know, slack, I
grace.
guess. Yeah.
Well,
They need,
showed a lot of grace, dude,
yes,
yeah.
doing
because
a lot of grace. That is
the
the perfect words.
the community has definitely held and kept this whole thing going for sure in the last few months
Yeah.
since the Nats. So,
Hmm.
and then I know he mentioned he was like the new community manager had just
Or PR, whatever
yeah,
his title is. Yeah.
5 weeks into it,
Hmm.
but this was along with the string of new hires that they just had. So hopefully. And this was something Joey had mentioned in previous podcasts. At the beginning, they were doing all these kind of like live shows
Yep.
and for their announcements and pushing out information and stuff, and then that kind of just all disappeared, right?
Hmm.
So hopefully it kicks off again. Hopefully, I think within this month we'll be hearing a bit more news, and I think everybody's already kind of starting the predictions. They see that the slumbering giant is coming to life. That
Hmm.
is Ravensburger, and I am super excited for season 2, I guess, of
Yeah.
DLCs, and I guess we got to
Yeah.
get through Worlds though.
Maybe yeah, exactly. We have to let's get past Worlds first before we start
Yeah,
worrying about DLCs. Because I mean, as crazy as it sounds, like without getting too much into like thinking like tinfoil hat and everything, like you have Worlds, and then you have to worry about like, oh, how many DLCs are we truly gonna get? Like, say Worlds is in June or July, that gives us only like 4 months before we have to start figuring out about like continentals again and stuff like that. And who
yeah,
knows like how that's gonna play into with like Japan and China. So again, like that's a topic for a completely other time. But
yeah.
so let's get past Worlds first before we start worrying about DLCs again.
A
For
good
sure.
segue for supplement to DLC content
Yeah.
is ICL.
ICL, yeah. So for those of you that don't know, the Illuminators Champions League is it's a team league that we are lucky enough to be a part of, and we had our second match this past weekend, or this past week, I guess it was exactly a week from today, Monday.
Yep.
And we were playing against the very well known, very low key stacked team, or high key stacked, I guess, the Forbidden Mountain. Some of our good friends and rivals. We're friends with a lot of them on the.
We're not friends with any of them. We're like diehard enemies.
Oh my god, this
I
guy over here.
never want to see any of their smiling faces ever again until the next
The
event.
Friendship Mountain.
Yeah.
So we did have to play the Forbidden Mountain, and we both were 1-0 going into the match, and we were lucky enough to leave victorious. We finished 2-0-1. I don't know who that scrub was who got the draw, but that guy sucks. Yeah. So Joey, who's not here, he started us off with a win. He was playing against Melissa from TFM. He won 2-1. It was Ruby Sapphire against Amethyst Steel, which is kind of a deck that she has played a lot and known for. I had to play the second match, and I played against Ben. He was playing Ruby Sapphire. I was playing, of course, Emerald Steel, and I drew. I drew with him, so that was unfortunate for me, as my game 3 was going to end very, very quickly if I had a little bit more time.
Yeah. To note, though, for anybody who hasn't happened to been able to tune in and watch the ICL, it's the first round. It's kind of random, whoever Pixelborn chooses to be on the play, and then after that, if whoever the loser was, they get the second person round 2 gets to be on the play. So John was on the draw against Ruby Sapphire and managed to pull it off. Got the first, game 1 you won.
I won game 1, yeah.
And then it was just such a long drawn out game 2, and your positioning was never like so bad that you're like, all right, we're done here, let's scoop it up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, had you scooped like 2-3 minutes earlier, that game 3 you were firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, like he missed ramp, he missed pop on turn 1, and I was like, shift Diablo, like just playing everything.
Go.
I was at like 12 lore when the game ended, and like even like my plays and turns, I was just like playing stuff. I was like, I know I'm not winning anyway. So had I had more time, or if it was untimed, I probably would have played some stuff a little differently, just based on my hand. But no, the list was a lot of fun. The big inclusion of my list is the Scar. 4-drop Scar. That was a inclusion just mainly for the steel matchups. It's a 4-drop warded character. So just ward is just good. And then anytime you attack into anything that has damage on it, you can draw a card. So that was good. I never didn't get to show it because I inked it. I think I inked it all 3 times in my matches, but the deck, it ended up being very good. And another big thing without it, it only gets banished from Be Prepared and Grab Your Swords. I guess like a Kita Under the Sea combo too, but like that's little. I mean that's a lot.
That's
a
fringe.
lot of investment.
Yeah, that's fringe.
Yeah, that exactly, like a very fringe instance. So it just stays alive, which I thought was really good, and it tested really well. Like the 4 strength is super relevant, especially with like a Harem. Like if they return a Harem sideways, you like storm, attack it, draw a card, and then banish it. So again, I never got to show it, unfortunately. But the list is very similar to my list that I ran in at the Safari Zone, just with a couple small changes. Pete is still a monster, fantastic card, one of the best cards, if not the best dueling card that we got in set 7.
Actually, it is actually the best dueling card right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a case for Troubadour.
Yeah,
but I think Pete's absolutely unreal. So that was my list, and then the final match was Brian, which they had to random roll for that one, and then Brian was playing against his good friend Dick Burns. So why don't we hear about yours, Brian?
So I decided to take Emerald Amethyst into what I thought Dick Burns was going to take his comfort pick of Amber Steel, and I was very, very wrong, but I kind of lucked out at the same time. Dick showed up with Amber Emerald discard package, and just so happens that I'm pretty comfortable. I think this is one of the better matchups,
for sure,
color wise, and the way I had the deck built also helped out. Game 1, I got absolutely blasted.
Yeah.
My mulligan, I straight up mulligan for like the steel matchup, the Amber Steel matchup, and that is not what I saw, and he just destroyed me. This was, of course, after he got in a little bit of trouble for trying to play with unsleeved deck.
Yeah,
Unsleeved.
that was hilarious, dude.
Well,
I've never seen that.
That's a DLC rule. You have to
Yeah,
play
yeah,
with
yeah.
sleeves.
Yeah.
Which
I
I
had
didn't
never
find out.
seen someone play without sleeves though. I've
Dude,
seen the no mat.
just riffles immediately
Yeah,
too.
he was I know he was definitely triggering people in the chat for sure with the riffle shuffle.
Yeah.
But game 2, we were able to stabilize and got there, and then or actually game 2 was kind of a little bit more one-sided in my favor, and then game 3,
Game 2, you top deck the big Ursula, and that just
yeah,
put
the
you
big
shit into the
Ursula.
game.
I happen to have exactly 5 ink, top deck the big
Yeah.
Ursula, and then put him on the back foot.
And then I think the next turn you top decked Elsa.
Yeah,
And then
and
that
was
got rid
just
of
kind of a right.
yeah, they got rid of Diablo.
Yeah, he was trying exactly, Philip. He was trying to play raw.
Yeah, it was
Ripple shuffling, no sleeves,
Yeah.
no mat. Actually, might have had a mat, but it was wild. They made him sleeve it all up right in front of everybody on
So
They didn't even
on the
shift.
ICL
They didn't even go
broadcast.
away. He literally unsleeved the deck and sleeved
yeah,
it back up.
he
It was
didn't have
quite
any
funny.
it wasn't like he had just unsleeved the cards. He built funny enough though, he was missing 2 or 3 cards, so he had to
Yeah.
run back to his store,
See
grab
my
the
guys.
cards, and he almost didn't make it. That's why he missed the player meeting. So he had to unsleeve a whole new deck that he had built and then re-sleeve right in front of
Oh my god.
everybody watching. So that was a fun little.
I will say that was probably the fastest I've ever seen someone sleeve up a deck too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Credit where credit is due. You know, if only the gameplay was as good as his sleeving was.
Oh man.
Yeah.
This guy. Hey, shout out to Dick though, man. We gave Dick a lot of stuff for being really bad at the first SSG he went to. And then he top 8 the first
Yeah,
one.
he put on he's like he said as a rule of thumb, if you see him with colored hair, that means he cares. So
He had the Guy Fieri hair.
yeah, so if you ever show up, I definitely thought for whatever reason he had bleached his hair prior to coloring it red, but I thought that was how he was going to show up with like a visor, spiked hair, and just go all out. But and then game 3, we just kind of were able to stabilize. Made I think one of the crucial plays was he discarded or used sudden chill, and I had to pick between pitching a crab or my kit, and I held on to the kit. It ended up not really mattering because I ended up pulling an Elsa off the top and then hit his Diablo, and at that point it was kind of game in 2 turns. So it worked out. We got the win there, and then got to see all of TFM again at SSG. So that was awesome. Super nice people.
They are awesome. They really
Yeah.
are awesome people to talk to. Not even just about Lorcana, just cool people to hang with.
For sure.
And they always have like a bunch of other things going on. Whether like this weekend, right? They have they're hosting a 2K. They're always going to different events. They always have like ideas to kind of throw out, and it's definitely, Dan has done a fantastic job of kind of just branching out their whole brand, whether social media, great competitors, so the players themselves are solid, and then just being able to be involved in the community to such an extent. Like they've kind of been there from the start and stuff, but everybody turns to TFM for news and content, and but well deserved. And then Dick put up some numbers.
Yep, exactly. He made top 16. I think he lost the top 16 though, right?
Yeah, top 16.
Okay.
He was on Sapphire Steel.
Oh, he lost to Mitch.
Yep.
I do remember now. I do.
You know what's better than top 16?
Top 8.
Top 8.
I miss you too, Gabe. Don't worry. I'll see you in May. I know you're not gonna play because you're gonna be behind the booth, but I'll be seeing you in May. I'll be seeing you in May, Gabe.
Yep.
So our next ICL match, we're playing Tianhu.
And for those of you that don't know who Tianhu is, they have a pretty good player on that team. I believe Ed Chu. He might be the North American champion, maybe.
There's
We'll
another
see.
guy
Yeah.
named Ed on that team, but nobody
And there-
knows him. he's
Oh
but
man.
super stoked, and,
Yep.
and we were, I believe, originally supposed to play them yesterday. Yesterday was supposed to be the very first day. Hey, it all worked out, right? Like,
Did you
Yep.
imagine if we played yesterday and then this came out
Oh,
today?
and then
yeah.
we
Oh
yeah,
my god,
that would
I'd
have
be
been
so
brutal.
sad.
And the whole reason it got pushed off was because like too short notice for some of the
Hmm.
teams, and
Yep.
some things got pushed off, and so they shifted everything to the right. So we're not even playing next week, so we got to
No,
figure out
it's
when.
not officially released, but it's
Oh crap, sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. Well, we
oh
know who we're playing. Maybe we
yeah,
don't know when yet, but we'll make sure to
yeah,
inform you guys on our socials. So keep an eye out
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that. We want to talk about SSG a little before we get into this tier list.
Yep, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we can so everyone except for Michael, because Michael doesn't like to conform, played Ruby Sapphire. Michael did play
There's
he
the
played
four of
what
us.
actually I don't even know what list he played. You guys I never saw it. I know it was our
we
Ruby
we kind
Amethyst.
of did him wrong, dude. He was practicing, and he had
You just let him
Emerald.
play Diggy, man.
No, he was on
We
Emerald
should have. We should have
Amethyst.
let him play Diggy. That's what he won the side event with, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oof.
But on Friday night, we all went to Mikey's house, and we're
Mhm.
all practicing. And Michael had the discard, green purple discard sleeved up, and it just was not doing its thing.
Oof.
And so we're like, no, why don't you play something else?
Mhm.
And he sleeved up Ruby Amethyst, and then just didn't get the reps on it. And unfortunately, he bombed out kind of early. But if you go back to that other picture, he
He
was
won a
able
side
to.
event.
Yeah, he won
Yep.
the side event, and as everybody knows, the side events at Southside are pretty stacked. It's a win a
Mhm.
box with a random enchanted,
And
and
he unfortunately he did low roll that enchanted too,
yeah,
but it's okay. The
it's
Singer
okay.
9 it looks nice at least. It doesn't play nice, but it looks
50
nice.
$50 enchanted plus the box of
Yep.
Arcasia's Island for $15 entry. Hard to beat.
Yeah,
Definitely hard
exactly.
to
High
beat.
high EV there for him. But anyway, so Joey, Mikey, and Brian all played. Oh, Gabe.
Wait
Uh,
till you see what some of his accomplishments are when our ICL match drops. We got something for you in that.
oh no, I can't wait. Can't wait. So anyway, so Mikey, and Brian all played the exact same 61, which was Ruby Sapphire. Mike, we'd already talked about it. He didn't have fun playing the list, but the list did him good. She did her job for sure, as he got top 8. And then Brian, I think you lost your winning in, right? Or you had to win your last two or
Yeah,
something like that.
I unfortunately had a draw round one against the mirror,
Hmm.
and then we 2-0 Chuck, Wochuck, or no, sorry, 2-1 against Wochuck,
Hmm.
which just so happens, he's right there. But
Shout out to Chuck,
and then
secret FG fan.
yeah, so he was on Steel Song, and then I had to play Freddie right after that, who was also on Steel Song, and Freddie had just beat Joey.
Joey.
So again, him being on the same 61, I was like, oh, here we go. Thankfully, was able to get the win 2-1 there,
Hmm.
um, and then I think the rest, all the remaining matches were all the mirror.
Hmm.
So and like draw into 2-0-1, and then I was.
You were like 202 or something, right? Or
Yeah,
302?
I was 402 going
Mhm.
into the last two rounds.
Okay.
So I had 4 wins, 2 draws, and I just needed one more. Um, I needed to win that round 7, and I ended up getting matched into fumbles
Mhm.
from Ink Thieves, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
And he was talking his game, because he's like, I've been I forgot what he said. I've been feasting or harvesting or something all the mirror matches today. I
That
was
dude
like,
was
oh
he's probably just
no.
so hyped up on caffeine because he left at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I think he lives in like North
No.
Carolina or something.
No, he lives in New York.
Oh, New
New
York. Oh, I
York,
didn't realize he was
yeah.
by me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he left at like
Yeah,
he like left his house at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
he had to
Like
like
took
change his flight and stuff, but he's like, oh yeah, and it just so happened that I had the bounty on my head. I think I had the bounty 2 or 3 times that day.
I never
Uh,
had it.
the way they were doing it was Hector and Ghosty Jack
Mhm.
had the bounty all day, and then one random person got selected every round from
He did.
either SSG or
Mhm.
Freedom Gaming to be a bounty, and it was
Mhm.
me a bunch of times. So he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take that box. I'm gonna 2-0 you." I was like, "Oh my god, here we
Oh.
go." And thankfully, I didn't embarrass myself too much. Still
Mhm.
lost, but it was very play draw. He won on the play, I went on the play, and then it went back to him, and just wasn't close. I don't think I saw Hiram till way later.
Don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, so lost there, and then right after that, I think we knew I was dead.
Yeah.
Like there was no way I was getting into top 16, but I still played round 8 against another guy we know from North Carolina, and
No, Turbo, yeah.
unfortunately, yeah, lost again.
Mhm.
But Sal, also from Raleigh in North
Mhm.
Yep.
Carolina, he made it to top 4. I think he got third. So
Yeah.
congrats to Sal.
Yeah, what's the
Yes,
shop's name that they play at? Tri Area?
Triangle Trading.
Yeah, something like
Triangle.
that. But they
Mhm.
both good players, man. They flew down, so it's cool to see people come from out of town. I also, not to hijack your run, Bri, but I had a guy when I was watching you play. I think the match against Turbo. I had
Mhm.
a guy come up to me who's from Ohio, and he was like, "Hey, um, really love your guys' content. I
Mhm.
listen to everything you guys do." And from Ohio, I was like, "That's really cool, man." So what are you? What made you come down? He's like, "Well, I'm about to start a new job, and I had the time. The wife okayed it."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Hey,
Nice, dude.
no better shop to come down to." So
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I think this weekend I spent more time like really talking to people
yeah,
Mhm.
in between games, and it was just awesome. Like it there's a lot of diehard competitive people, but are also the nicest individuals as
Oh,
well,
for sure.
in which that is not the case in so many other card
No,
games.
definitely
um,
not.
so no, it was really cool to see. SSG always um, gets the good people to come out, so it was very fun.
yeah.
Mhm.
I made a tweet about it, man. But there was like no free games to be had at all this week.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
had high level competitive people all throughout. My round 1 on Saturday was against Sweet Tea in the mirror that we drew,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and then it was Wochuk, Freddie. God, I forgot who my round 4 was, but it was just like one after the other of like great competitive player after great competitive player.
Yeah.
Um, and I got to see, as Mikey mentioned, like Ocean's Tempest, who's in the Discord, the South
Yep.
Florida network. Like
Yep.
he just got a job on in Bradenton, so on the west coast of Florida, and he made it
Mhm.
out. He's like sploosh. I was like, who are you? And then I was like, oh my god, dude, it's awesome to talk to everybody. And I get
Yeah.
ready it's already awesome for me because I get to come down and see all friends and family.
Yep.
Mhm.
But in addition to that, meet new people, make new friends. Um, and as always, SSG is kind of leveling things up. So stream
Oh,
looked
yeah, for
great.
sure.
We had Liam out there
Yep.
commentating, along with Skinner and Gabe, who are kind of the regulars, and then
And Dan was
Dan.
there too, yeah.
Yeah, Dan from TFM was putting in some work behind the booth.
Mhm.
So awesome to see. And I know they had that second stream going throughout the day
Yeah.
as well. So
Yep.
that meta, though, I think it came to no surprise at how Sapphire heavy the meta for that tournament was.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
to note, though, and I'm sure Skinner was super happy. He was bragging about it. I think there were only 3 Emerald Amethyst players, and 2 made it into top 16.
And they had to play each other in top 16,
Was there really only 3 the whole day?
Yeah,
supposedly.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
I paired into 2 of the 3?
I
I
guess.
guess, yeah.
That's insane. Holy
Who
cow.
did
I wonder what the stats on that are. My one loss in Swiss was Mr. Mustache, who is a local green purple player, and
did he
he
make
opened the nuts against me every single game. Like,
Dang.
I'm not kidding. Diablo, Shift Diablo, Sing Friends twice each game.
Oof,
Each game. Sing Friends twice. I'm never keeping up with that, even with Hiram.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um, that's wild. I could
Yeah.
run through my run real quick because I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to spend a whole lot of time on it. I have the deck list here too.
Yep.
But yeah, obviously, Brian mentioned we got together Friday night, and I really did want to play Blurple, um, and I thought I had something figured out, and Joey and Brian beat it out of me pretty much. So
It was
uh,
bad, dude.
I was like, I'm not playing this deck.
Scared straight camp over here. No
Yeah.
blurple for you.
Yeah. Um, So I guess if you can't beat him, join him. I know I'm getting a lot of flack for this, especially within the Blurple community. They're like calling me an outsider now and a traitor. But I tell them it's like, I had a couple top 16s before this. It's not like I needed this deck to get top 8, but
Yeah.
hey, whatever. You can make whatever assumptions you want to make.
And then he played Blurple the next day on the 3K, and that was not a good run.
That was
Yeah,
not a good day.
when you said there was no free matches, there was on Sunday. I was it. I was the free match.
Oh
Tim,
man.
we're gonna talk about tier list after this, and from the errata today, I think Blurple might have been one of the most affected decks in a great way. Just to not bury the lead there. I know we're going to talk about it a little later, but yes, I think you might be right. Anyways, just to go through the list, and we thought that maybe Bursting Shark was the way to beat the mirror. In hindsight, to me, I think that actually the Big Tamatoa Dime package was better.
Yeah.
In the mirror, and I think that's what Mitch took, and it showed because he was my match in top 8. That I did lose to. I will say, and it's not like an excuse at all. Our game 1 was like 40 minutes long, and it was super close. And we'd already split the pricing. I was so tuned out after the second game. Like we went into the second game, I was like, dude, I want to go home. And he blasted me anyways. It was over pretty quick. See Tim saying the same thing. I turn my black on Blurple, Rubia, Amethyst, understood red, blue, never. Hey, I mean, I got the top 8 with it, and what I was gonna say about it, I really wanted to try to win the money for charity. That was my main motivation. So my grandfather has Parkinson's. He struggles with that, and I was like really wanting to get money for that charity. Like I thought that was something really cool to try to strive for. And after my beating on Friday, I knew that Blurple was not going to get there against good Ruby Sapphire players. And there was a couple matchups I had. I mean, I kind of played against everything. So Turnidogs round 1 against a local. I played Steel Song round 2, and then like that was nice playing Steel Song and not really having to worry about it because that's a terrible matchup for Blurple. Typically, it's a little better with the Bell now, but not a great matchup. So and then round 3, I played against the green purple player, Mr. Mustache, another local that I know. And then I played, I think, like straight blue steel matches. The rest
You
of
played
them.
Emerald Steel at some point too.
Oh, that might have been round 4 actually. Nicest guy. Emerald Steel tilts me more than any other deck. So I am not like as talkative as I usually am when I'm playing against discard strategies. I have to like make a conscious effort to not be upset because it just makes me incredibly upset.
I made you mad enough in testing.
Take note if you guys ever want to make a Mikey Tilted, bring
and I think it's because I'm used to not having any answers in Blurple, like a lot of the time, but Red Blue has so many answers you could just draw through a lot of the outs.
Yes.
The other thing that's really funny about playing Red Blue was we did a local. Did I go Friday? No. Friday was with everybody else. Yeah. I went out some night and I think I brought Jafar Wheel because I just wanted to try. I think it was Tuesday.
Oh, that was Tuesday. That was Tuesday.
Yeah, and that one went horribly for you.
That went horribly. Yeah, I was really trying to do anything I could to not play Ruby Sapphire. And Skinner was like, "Oh, are you sure you can play Ruby Sapphire?" And I put my head down on the mat and I rolled it all around the mat, and I was like, "That's all you have to do." And then I top 8'd with the Ruby Sapphire.
Oh, that's great.
I
mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. So I did a little interview with Gabe, who I know is in the chat as well. I'm going to go ahead and post the link on YouTube and Twitch for those of you that would like to watch that deck profile. It goes into more thoughts on the deck itself. It was really cool to all play the same list. I feel a little bad because Joey is the red blue player. At least he has a second with it, right? Like it's not like I posted a result that he's never gotten before.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, the deck did its thing. In hindsight, like I said, like we mentioned already, I think the mirror, you're better off playing 8-cost Tamatoa and Dime, but now it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because this deck is going to completely have a facelift. So I know we didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on talking about this deck, but the event as a whole, SSG killed it yet again. I can't wait till the next one in May. We're doing a 10K.
We got 2 in May.
Well, we'll see if the second one. I mean, I think they mentioned it.
Or Stefan announced it in the Discord. So.
Oh, you're right. He did because
Yeah.
it's with the release of Jafar, so it ends
Jafar,
up being
yep.
2 because the May's like such a long month week wise.
Yeah.
But I don't know how late I am.
But yeah,
I'm
for
getting a
anybody
big-
who didn't hear about it, SSG is doing a $10,000 cash tournament. I believe it's May 3rd.
Third.
Yeah.
So May 3rd. However, a very large asterisk above that 10K. Depending on the amount of signups, it can go all the way up to a 15K. So whenever
Get in
they
there.
announce it, yeah, get in there, sign up, and let's make this thing a 15K, make it bigger than CCS.
If I can give a little bit of constructive criticism, bigger tables, because holy, if a fire went down on Saturday,
not with, right?
no,
Length,
I'm talking
lengthwise.
in between the tables. Like I finished one game super early,
And you got
and
stuck.
I was literally stuck there for the next 20 minutes, and I could not get out. It was against Mari from local. She was playing Turner Dogs. My first round.
Oh, your first round match.
She went under both tables to get out, and I was like, I'm not doing that because I won't be able to get up. So it was like, dude,
the TV legend, bro.
It was TV legend, exactly. It was super tight. We got to know each other really well. Gabe, I saw your message about what Joey's initial thoughts are on this.
He's playing Ruby Steel as we speak.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess that's one way to say it. But I think Joey will come back to Ruby Sapphire and probably, I mean, obviously he was on an items build at the start of the set. So I'd be curious if maybe he goes back into something like that.
Yeah.
But we'll see what he cooks up for sure. Do you guys want to get into the tier list?
Let's get into a tier list.
I think if I can do this right. And
is it live? Oh, we are live.
Everybody sees that, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
All right. So let's start this easy. D tier or bottom tier.
Well, do you want to start with each one? Because we got Ruby Amethyst first.
Oh, we could. Yeah, we could do it like that. So
Ruby Amethyst.
Where
do we go from here?
I mean, I know I sent you guys one. I didn't post it or anything because I knew we were going to do this on the pod. I have Ruby Amethyst in like B tier, like middle. Like it's like the middle of the middle. It's still a great deck. It can beat anything and it can lose to anything, I feel like. So that's kind of where I had it.
I'm kind of thinking it could be A. It's probably like super high B or A, because I do think if it plays
the one like huge, it's kind of like he mentioned, it's good into anything, but the one color pairing that it had a great edge against was the Ruby Sapphire, right? And if that's not going to be as prevalent anymore, and you don't see that matchup as often, I don't know. Any of the green decks can snipe the board wipes. Ruby Amethyst typically isn't going to be playing the Sisus and stuff, so I think it'll be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like if you think about like what are stuff that's going to be on the top of the list, like top of the tier list is going to be stuff like Amethyst Steel. Had a pretty fair matchup into it. Any of the Steel decks have a pretty fair matchup into it. Just considering the fact that you can play Pete, you have like so much like consistent removal, drawing the cards. Between like with the Storm Rage on stuff like that, and just like so much like the removal suite as a whole. Like, so I definitely feel like again, it's a great deck. It always the old joke was, do you want to play Ruby Amethyst? Oh, do you want to have a 45% matchup in everything? Sure.
Yeah.
So
I think Flynn might come back though, but I don't know because like everybody's going to be hating out Diablo, so maybe Flynn doesn't come back.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure with a lot of you got to figure like you're going to see like a lot more stuff with like Fire the Cannons, from the Seal side, and then do we see more? Oh yeah, Gantu. That's true. Like Tim said, yeah, Gantu is now a thing now.
And I know you had your previous tier list. I would love to, after the fact, after we're done with this one, compare your old tier list from the beginning of the set.
I could pull it up. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could pull it up. Yeah.
I think it's high B that we can start there with.
Oh, are we gonna order? Are we gonna order within tiers? Because like that might change some stuff too.
I mean, I would.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, so we can do it like that. All right, definitely. Yeah, so I think high B, maybe low A, depending. Like we like this is kind of like a living tier list. Like Pig used to do this with like Mortal Kombat. Like like kind of like moving it along and adjusting like as we evolve. So
Discuss.
And this is all post ban, guys. So those of you that are
Yeah.
just coming in, looking at us do this tier list, this is what our initial impressions are going to be, our initial thoughts after removing. I mean, I still think Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel are going to be strong decks, but I think that I think Ruby Amethyst did get some points here. Like I think they're benefiting from this ban a lot.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh man, Emerald Ruby. I don't know. That's
To the
probably
D tier.
To the
yeah.
D
This is
tier.
yeah.
Banish it to the
I
Shadow
mean,
Realm.
because I think the strong consensus is going to be now Diablo is enemy number 1. So everybody's going to be teching for Diablo, and without playing Diablo and Emerald Ruby, or if you don't have a Diablo that lives, I think you're just dead anyways.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not sure that deck is going to survive.
No.
Another one that I think. I mean, anything you guys want to say about Emerald Ruby?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess your package is either going to be evasives, or your package is going to be the Robin Hood mill. So like maybe like some weird like Robin Hood mill like shark variant, like playing an action for free, getting it back with shark, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't see that being. I see it being very high rolly, but I don't see that being quite
Discard
competitive.
strat maybe.
Could be a discard strat too, but I
Robin
think
Hood into Bruno would be pretty insane.
that would be, or just Robin Hood into anything really.
Yeah.
Robin
I
Hood
don't
just
know.
needs to survive, but I think the moment it turns sideways, it's kind of
kind of stuck. Unless you put in like Sherwood Forest or something. Wait, is that even green or
Yeah,
emerald?
Sherwood Forest is green.
Yeah, so I
Emerald.
guess you could do something weird like that maybe. But yeah, so I don't think much.
A.
Yeah.
1000%.
I think this deck is going to be very good.
That's probably the biggest winner, I would say, and like not even just
But
as
which
a whole.
version?
Yeah, I was going to say like I think the tempo. Yeah, tempo's the big winner.
I know Skinner's going to disagree. I love the bird. The big green bird is. I am a huge fan, but the tempo I think is right back on top. You're not going to be able, and I know Mo made a tweet about it earlier. Never going to be able to smash a fox and into a Hiram and gain 4 off of your go anymore. But the tempo list is phenomenal. I am a huge proponent of the Emerald Amethyst color pairing. I do think the discard version isn't bad. Just kind of high rolly, right? And unfortunately, super high rolly. And whereas with Emerald Steel, you have some other lines and outs you can play. They're so all in on the Diablo with like some of those decks are running between 10 and 12 shift targets. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about Emerald Steel for sure, because it's definitely coming up. And as the resident Emerald Steel player, man, I have to share the spotlight with everyone now because everyone's gonna want to play this deck again.
Yeah.
But I think just like whereas like with Emerald Steel, you have like alternate lines like you were talking about, like between like morph and like shifting into like bigger targets. Whereas with the Amethyst Emerald version of it, you're pretty much like Diablo or bust, which is kind of how like Emerald Steel was in the past a little bit. Now that we've kind of the deck has kind of evolved a little bit. So I think it's just how you want to play.
If everybody's already teching for the Diablo in general, if the Emerald Amethyst version loses their Diablo super early on, it's not a good day.
I mean, like
Gabe,
you're not
appreciate
playing
the comment.
Deceiver of All. You're not like stuff like that usually. So like there's really no way to get back into. It's hard to get back into the game. I can't say no way.
To get back to,
it's
especially
hard
on
to
the draw.
Yep.
Especially on the drop. But Gabe said the only thing I like about Freedom Gaming is sploosh, and I align with on green purple. I agree. Thank you very much.
Good?
Deck's good.
Speaking of aligning with Illuminati.
Oh God, I had this in C tier, and I think it still stands. The deck can now be played. That's kind of.
I definitely think it's definitely better than Emerald Ruby. I do think there could be some exploring here, depending on where the meta goes.
Yeah.
But I do think Steel Song's going to be really strong, and I don't think this deck is favored in Steel Song at all. I know Monty has a different opinion on that, but I don't think that Red Yellow is favored in the Steel Song because they can just go so wide and you don't have a board wipe. But the more that something isn't as represented across the meta, it's better, and that thing is Big Sisu. If I mean, I think that Red Blue will probably still play some versions of Big Sisu, but it's not going to be as consistently oppressive. So it could pay off dividends because I think a lot of these green decks are going to be shifting back to Muses and Johns. So Sisu hitting both of those targets
Yeah.
is relevant,
Yep, very
and
big.
Red Yellow can get it out really early with Gaston and shifting. So there could be something here, but yeah, I think C is probably
And
The
I
the
right
one
on.
issue that that color pairing has had and continues to have is the draw power and
Rapunzel or
being
bust.
hugely reliant on Rapunzel, and I think that's kind of where the the downfall or negative
Yeah,
side to that color pairing is.
And
Pongo's pretty good.
playing
Yeah,
and you're playing the
there's
roulette too.
Stitch.
Like
There's a bunch of other like you know ways to
Mhm.
kind of cheat stuff out.
Yep.
But the consistency, we were talking about consistency a lot this past weekend and
Yeah.
even yesterday and today. Like the more consistent that your deck is, the better it is. And I'm a huge 3 to 4 of kind of guy. But you saw in our red blue list that that 61 that we settled on, it was just the power of Ruby Sapphire be able to dig with the visions, cycling
Hmm.
cards, cantrips and stuff. So you could find your one of or two of answers for
Yep.
whatever. Um, but going back to Ruby Amber, I just don't think
Mhm.
it's that strong at the moment. But maybe
Maybe
down the
Mike.
road.
I know this as a card you played Perdita coming back. How do you think about? What do you feel about that?
It's just uninkable. There's so
Yeah.
many uninkable choices now within the deck. It really depends on what you're trying to build. If you're trying to build like that be your top end and you're not trying to interact with your opponent's board,
Then
it
like
can do
Sisu, you'd have to
something.
play. Yeah.
Yeah, then you don't play Sisu or anything like that. But I mean, I like the card.
Hmm.
I I want to mess with red yellow a little more because it really does depend on where the meta goes.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, this one is
This is
we
a
have
tricky one. This is
few
probably
a few archetypes too, so you can't
yeah.
just like you have to think
Yeah,
I
there's
think if
quite a
we were
few
just doing the
archetypes.
color pairing as a whole, I
I'd
would
go
probably have it like
B
low.
plus or A
Yeah, it's
minus.
yeah, exactly. It's like low A, high B, just because like I feel like the disc they're both like good in their own right, but I think they just struggle against like certain color pairings.
So as I know, the deck that beats both the discard version and the Chernobog version
Hmm.
is Emerald Amethyst. And I
Yeah.
do think Emerald Amethyst is going to be highly represented now.
Hmm.
I think this deck is going to take a pretty significant hit because of that.
Yep.
Also, I think it is one of the weakest to Diablo dying early. Like we
Yep.
mentioned with Emerald Ruby, if that Diablo doesn't make it,
Hmm.
it doesn't have a lot of resilience. But your muses are also a lot safer now
Yep.
because
That's true.
the red blue may see less of a meta share. So I don't
Hmm.
There
know. Like I
are there are some alternate lines that you can play with the discard version.
Yep.
The Turnidogs, I don't think much is going to change. And I know Jack was
No.
talking about it. Like you still have the same game plan.
yeah.
You just have less Sisus to worry about, probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. I'd probably go high B.
Yeah.
The
Would you
only
put up in front of Ruby Amethyst or behind it?
so my thing is, and we haven't gotten to Emerald Steel yet, but Emerald Steel, even with if people start running Fire the Cannons, Babooms, whatever it is, Strengths and Storms, there is a song in Emerald Steel that can be sung to give it the +1 resist. It draw a card and +1
Yeah.
resist.
I'm still here.
I'm still
Yeah.
here. So you have and Cove as well, which
Hmm.
you can run it in Emerald Amber, but you have additional options. The I'm still here, the Cove to kind of protect.
Yep.
And I think Emerald Steel is still going to be the best Diablo
Shell.
shell.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know.
Emerald Amber has bare necessities though too, so they can also, if they're on the
Yeah,
play,
Yeah, they
yeah,
get
search
rid
for
of
what
any.
that
Yeah,
problem
which
would
is good.
be.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I feel like the list is like both lists are still good. I think the discard variant. It's hard. It's really hard to say. Like discard was really there to target Ruby Sapphire, whereas like the Turner Dogs could beat Sapphire Steel. So it just depended what you wanted to attack. So I could see like both of them kind of like settling in like the like high mid tier, maybe like the bottom of A.
So before Ruby Amethyst or
I
behind
would
it?
put it because I'd probably keep Ruby Amethyst just because I feel like
Yeah,
a lot more polarizing matchups for Amber Emerald, whereas like Ruby Amethyst is just kind of just like right there.
yeah.
So like it's like you're
I'm
not kind of like so
I agree. Um,
This
hyper
is an
aggro.
interesting one.
this is
Well,
also an interesting one,
I
but hyper aggro also there
mhm.
is like mid range versions of this deck that
the
I
the Maribel
no no
Singer
no 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 no. I'm
uh,
talking like
is hyper
there is
aggro.
a purple no. There's a purple yellow like mid range
mhm.
list that relies on Rapunzel, and you're playing like the Moana 3 cost
Mhm.
bigger bodies. It's solid. It was pretty good towards the end of last set. So I'm actually gonna say this one is probably like right ahead of
Yeah,
Mufasa.
I think, and I think also hyper aggro probably takes a little bit of a step back too, because again, that was another one used to target the Ruby Sapphire. Because I know Alex, he top eight, or did he top eight or did he top 16 only? When did he
Top
lose?
16. He lost to
Yeah.
Blue Steel.
Yeah.
Actually no, he might have been top 8.
No, I don't
I
know.
think it
I
was
have to.
top 8. It was top 8 because I was sitting next to him.
Okay.
I think. I
Yeah,
don't remember
he
now.
pops up as a friend, like a friend thing on my Facebook every once in a while.
Yeah.
As a friend recommendation. So yeah,
Uh,
so he played hyper aggro. So again, that was another one I think that might take a step back just because it was used to target the Ruby Sapphire. And now with Ruby Sapphire being less, and like you may not see that as much. But again, it's still a quality deck. You can still get to 20 lore very, very quickly.
Tim mentioned Amber, Amethyst, Locations, and Mufasa
The
variant.
locations was an Earlmeister list. I know I saw it. It looked pretty fun, honestly. And then the Mufasa, obviously from Atlanta, was a DLC thing. That was DLC Atlanta
Yeah.
winner.
And Earl played that I think as well. But
Did he?
I know Cran Christian Anderson was working on a yellow purple like mid ranges list,
Mm-hmm.
and he was really happy with it towards the end of last set. So
Oh,
I
interesting.
wouldn't be surprised if we see. I know he's a really good deck builder too, so I wouldn't be surprised if we
Yeah,
see this pop up. But I think keeping it in C right now is pretty reasonable.
for
A
sure.
tier. Go ahead, slap it in there. Probably
Yeah, but
above.
I think I'm gonna put it behind Emerald Amethyst.
Yeah, that's just because you hate it.
I would put it
I
ahead, but
I think look, I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be very good, but I also think it's gonna
targeted.
be I think it's gonna be heavily targeted, and I do think it isn't as good when heavily targeted. Green Steel is at its best when it's not expected.
You
I
can say that
think,
about any. You can truthfully say that about any deck too.
except Ruby
So
Sapphire. Like Ruby Sapphire doesn't really care; it can just be
yeah,
anything,
exactly. Well,
anyways.
the old Ruby Sapphire did it. Now new Ruby Sapphire. We'll see. Someone's gonna show up with like some jank list, and like no one's gonna know what to do. No one's gonna know what cards are gonna
Yeah,
be in it. No, but yeah. So again though, I think it's an A2. Again, there was really no one. We didn't lose anything. We didn't gain anything. Just more so, just now everyone thinks it's gonna be the big bad because everyone hates discard. Um, so bring it on. I think the list changes a little bit. I think Muses probably makes a comeback.
Muses. Yep.
Um, as opposed to, so I'll lose my scar, unfortunately. Um, so we will definitely see.
You think Green Steel is gonna be bad? I don't think Green Steel is gonna be
I
bad.
think
I
Green
don't think it
Steel
was
was
bad
good.
It
last
was
set,
not
I
unless
bad
think
at
you're
it's
all
talking
last
solid.
set.
about
It
Yeah.
unless
was
you're talking. Maybe
yeah.
he's talking about Emerald Amethyst.
Oh, yeah, no.
Uh,
Emerald Steel was definitely not bad. It was very play draw into Ruby Sapphire. So like the top, like you were pretty fair. It was like play draw into Ruby Sapphire, and then Amber Steel was like it wasn't a good matchup, but you weren't like completely blown out. And then you were just fair into the meta. Um,
yeah.
and then now it's just gonna
But
depend how the
Pete,
meta shifts.
yeah,
Pete is a great card. Games
Pete
referee
and
is a
Shift
great card.
Pete, man. Like
Yep.
I think that's what makes the other Pete so good is that
hmm
your Pete is pretty much never dying.
Yeah.
yep.
So you're always gonna have that shift target living, unless you're
hmm
playing against like Blurple or something like that. But most of
Yeah.
the time, it's like always living.
Yep.
No, I think Emerald Steel, like you said, Muses is gonna definitely come back,
hmm
and that card is so annoying. So, not
Yep.
surprised. Ruby Steel.
C.
Okay, Joey.
I would say
I
low
think it's
C.
Oh, I have it. I have it. That deck is bad. I have that deck. I don't think that deck is good at all. Obviously, it does get better now that it doesn't automatically lose to Ruby Sapphire. But there's no card. There's very limited card draw. I can't say no card draw because there is card draw between was it
Whole new
medallion weights?
world, baby.
I don't even know what the card is called. Um, but like it's just such an all-in build that like you have
Yeah.
one thing to do. So I mean, I guess you could do like that cool shark combo. But outside of that, like I just don't. I don't think it's just not there. It's way too all in for me, at least
Yeah.
personally. I don't
Well,
think
the thing is, even with the shark combo now, a lot of purple decks are playing queen, and I think they'll continue to play queen.
Oh yeah, they'll just get
And
rid
if
of.
it just kills your
Oh
shark
man, Queen
combo.
just got so much better.
Yep. Yep.
I'm still gonna say C because I think Ruby Steel has a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave it in C because I don't think a lot of innovation has been done yet because its matchup into Ruby Sapphire was so bad before that it just
Abysmal.
wasn't worth the time.
Yeah.
Now that Ruby Sapphire may be a little worse, I'm not gonna say Ruby Sapphire is dead because I don't think it's dead either.
No, definitely not.
But I would be interested to see if Ruby Steel kind of makes something else work if people innovate a little more with it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in the back of C. I'm not gonna put it quite D. I think this one's S.
I do too.
S? I was
Yeah.
gonna say high A, but S.
So okay. So
what
again,
pushes it over the top?
S doesn't mean 0. Like we're not doing
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's no tier 0 anymore. Like so like before we had like on my old list I have it. I have Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel as like the S tier, and then it was like that was like the tier 0. Like this is like if you're not playing one of these lists, you're probably not winning your event. Now like I think like it's just
Yeah,
they're
I
just
guess
good
it
decks.
does super well into both the decks that we have in A tier right now.
And I think we probably shift away from like the aggro suite that we have now. So like they were only playing 4 songs, which was strength. Now you kind of go back to more of a mid-rangey build. You're playing storms again. You're playing
Yep.
fire the cannons. You're probably like Mike was saying, you're playing queen. I played my
Big
loss.
Jafar.
Yeah, maybe who knows? Jafar wheel, baby. I played against the other list that top 4 Safari Zone with me was like a more mid-rangey list. Was playing 2 fire the can or 2 or 3 fire the cannons, 2 or 3 queens, and he was just running over everyone with it. And like with the queen, getting depending on the matchup, if you're playing against Sapphire, Belle's a princess. That's 4 lore. You're playing against I think in Amber Steel, I think there's princesses or Ariel. I think is technically a princess.
Yeah.
There's a bunch. Cinderella, like their whole deck is
Yep.
princesses.
Yeah, Daisy's not though. Daisy shouldn't be. I don't think
I
she
don't think
is.
so.
Do
So
you
yeah. So
think
anyway, so go ahead.
Grab Your Swords with less big butt characters being played, Grab Your Swords makes a prominent comeback?
I don't because Pete's still here.
Yeah, prominent comeback probably not. I think it will make a comeback in a list that we'll talk about in a little bit. But huge prominent comeback. It won't come back in. It won't be like a must have in steel builds, but we'll see.
Yeah.
S tier.
I think this one is probably either right above or right behind Purple Steel.
Yeah, I think. I think it's either like low S or like high A. I think I had it in A.
Because I think the Diggy Hole versions of this deck are going to come back in a big way.
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. It's
so
just
you think it's A? You said you think it's A?
I have it in high A. I like probably like the closest one to S. I think I had it in my tier list that I had. But I think you could have it anywhere. Like it is a top tier deck that is definitely very good, and it got slightly better with the regular version, like the wheel version, with like the Troubadour too, because Troubadour is a very difficult card to deal with for most decks.
Let's see. This is why I think Emerald Steel is a little lower on the tier list to me. Maybe because I really overvalue these two decks, and I don't think Green Steel is super good into either of them.
Again, like in the more mid-rangey lists, it's harder because if they're playing cannons, if they're not playing cannons, the list is it's a pretty straightforward matchup. Especially if you're playing like the bigger list with like Tinkerbells, and like obviously Pete is insane into it. So
yeah.
It just depends on where Amethyst Steel switches to. Emerald or into the Amber Steel matchup, it's just a high roll fest. Like who high rolls better. Like that's really all it comes down to. Ooh, now we got the real spice.
Yeah.
I'd keep it in B, man.
I have that one in B.
I was actually gonna say A.
I have it in B mainly just because I think the floor is so much higher now that like you're gonna see a lot of people still trying it and they're gonna struggle with it. Yeah.
The floor is lower, you mean?
No, the floor is higher. A higher floor means like it's harder to play.
Okay, got you. Okay, I got what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Do front of B or back of B?
I would put it in the back for now, just because again we just don't know like where the innovation
We
is
don't
gonna
know.
come.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little bit of an unknown. Like you remove Hiram and you probably put in Hiram and then popsicles and you put in like actually I don't even know where you go with it. Like I know people were talking about you could
I
go
still think Shark is a fine build, like especially into both of these two decks.
yeah
You
Right?
go 4 Talas. Like if
If-
you just took DKP's build, he was on 2 Talas, 2 Shark, or sorry,
mhm,
2 Talas, 2 Flaversham. So you run up 4 Talas. You still have your popsicles. You still have your visions. You still have your sail.
playing
You're
goofy and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you're on the goofies. You're playing the 4 of prep, and then your 4 of manner. Um, I, I think it's gonna be fine. I would even put it high B.
Yeah, I mean you could make. I mean I'm fine with it either way.
The
But again, like I
Tamato
think
sixes are still around.
yep.
yeah,
But
Um,
do you even play it anymore though?
oh,
Like
absolutely.
I don't
Not
know
as a
I think you
doer.
shift to Bell.
ugh,
Why
with
wouldn't
4
you
items
shift
only
to
though.
Bell?
I mean I guess if you yeah, but then
You're
your hand is
depending on
just
the
so dead
list.
though.
You can still play the Vitalispheres.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, with Shark, you're probably playing stuff like that. That's true.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean,
I think there's going to be a lot of innovation done. I don't. I think B is kind of low, but we can leave it there.
yeah,
I still think double ramp into Shark beats both of these decks, both Emerald Amethyst and Emerald Steel, and it's still going to be able to do that pretty consistently.
yeah,
The one thing with the steel is like if you go your turn 3, let's say you ramp again with how far I'll go or whatever, and then you land the shark and they immediately Zeus it, you are in a really bad spot.
For
Or
sure.
like for one of the lines would be like ramp into shark, land the shark, and then you have a prep in hand. So it's kind of like, hey, answer my shark. If you don't answer it, you're
or we're
hoping
gonna
they hard
reset.
cast it, and then you just reset the board, right? But now
Hmm.
you're kind of lacking a little bit on the draw potentially, depending on what you're doing,
Yeah,
Yeah,
with not
or
having Fabersham, that's true.
or if they have like a 4 cost whatever. Let's say they had um I don't know, go blah blah blah, something 4 cost, and then they Zeus plus a Pete. It is you can kind of probably just scoop right there and move on.
yeah,
But Shark build will still be great. I think it's high B for me for the Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
it's still
the
it's probably
hmm
items version. But if the overall meta gets a little bit faster, a little bit lower to the ground, the items version takes a little bit to set up there. So
yep. Oh, that
this
deck is
one's
trash.
fire.
That deck is E tier. No, that deck is definitely A tier. It's the same. It's the same as it was. It's the same spot as it
I
was pre.
I think here's where I think that there's going to be some things that may change with this deck that could make it even better. If it can consistently tech into Diablo builds, I think it can be very good because you don't have to worry about if Ruby Sapphire does take a more of a back seat and it frees up some of your tech spots. I really do think that this deck is very very good. I'll put it at the back of A tier now, but um, I don't know, man. If I played it a few times
oh
against Joey, and I know he was playing Ruby Steel, but
Hmm.
it feels very
damn,
strong.
Joey's on a run right now. He beat Robbie. He's on for anybody watching, Joey from our team is playing
Hmm.
the Ruby Steel Shark with the
Yep.
combo Fan the
Oh, and he
Flames
two
and
would
stuff.
he 2-0'd round 3 too.
He just said he beat, again though we don't know who he's playing, but he's at SSG right now, and he beat
Hmm.
Robbie, who is on Emerald Steel 2-1, and then he just beat Steel Song 2-0. I'm gonna ask him who he played against.
Skylone is the name. I don't know who that is.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, all
Um.
right,
Okay.
all right.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, I think it's funny. Our three decks are in A tier. Who would have thought?
Mhm.
Look at us.
Look at us. Look at us
Look at
go. Hey,
us.
we're not downplaying at all.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is
Yep.
D.
Yep.
I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this one. Outside of the Queen deck that ruined Brian's Toronto.
blast from your past, baby.
Vegas.
Vegas.
Oh,
That was Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
A or
had it in
S,
S
man.
initially, but I think it's A. I think it's high A, just because
Still have
You
You
still have the
still
Do
have
you
Kiwi
think
build.
they
yeah,
go to
Kiwi.
World now?
I do. I think. Well, I think either you go, but both sides of it are good. That's why. That's why I think that it's just whichever way you go to it. I think World is great still because again, though, that's your only draw engine now, though, so that makes it a little more high rolly. So you lose out to the Emerald decks probably if you don't have multiple.
Yeah, but you just go back to like slamming the ramp, slam cog, and then have your
Yeah,
cogs wheel
sync.
it up and carry on with your life. Like
Yeah, but even if you don't, yeah. So I mean,
you
I
still
think
have popsicle on turn 1. You still have fire the cannon.
maybe I'm seeing lists that people are cutting. They're cutting all the popsicles, and they're
Are
just
they
really
off bells entirely?
yeah.
Wow. All right.
That's what I'm seeing.
I was thinking people were still going to play the +1 resist one drop
I
item.
saw a list with like gyms. Um, so but we'll see.
Yeah, they can ramp ahead for sure, cracking unconventional tool and red blue items for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for Sapphire Steel, we can't forget about Diggy, which no, or not Diggy, the Kiwi
Yeah,
version of the deck.
I think that deck gets
That
a lot better too.
it wasn't on Hiram's until this set, really.
Yep.
So it was still a pretty solid deck choice. So I'm sure that deck will still be good. I just don't know how it fares into some of these other steel decks. I think it kind of picked on old Ruby Sapphire, and now I don't know. Well, the meta is super exciting. I think
Yeah.
really up to most of C tier, maybe not all C tier, but you could play almost any deck and have success with, which
Yep.
is what you
Definitely.
want in a game.
Mhm.
I do think I think Emerald Sapphire takes a huge hit though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, it felt like playing against. I got destroyed by the Dis dude,
Oh,
and
the Ink Geyser.
it felt like he had figured something awesome out, Justin, and awesome counter for the Ruby Sapphire matchup, and he crushed Jonathan Williams round
Yeah.
1.
Yep.
Mhm.
He crushed me for the win and in. I needed to win and in to get into top 8 for the 3K, and I
Mhm.
got destroyed. It was like a non-game for me both times. Um,
Crazy.
and unfortunately, though, with the downside to Sapphire Emerald is those Peats. Like it's so reliant on actions to kind of get ahead and do its
Like
thing
literally
that
4 of these decks will be playing Pete's.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's gonna be a brutal for Sapphire Emerald
Yep.
unless they go like a weird heavy items quill ramp into Clarabelle as quickly as possible, which is kind of what he was
That's what he
doing.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he would Ink Geyser and send it all back. But I guess it is a possibility. But the main removal package was like the You're Welcomes
Mm.
and
Did he play Under the Sea or no? I didn't even get a chance to look at his list.
No. No.
I can
Dude,
pull
but
it up
his list
right
was
now.
he was on Bells of set 1 Bells with
Yeah,
Ramp and
Oh.
Quills. So he would
Okay.
like
So
Ink
he was like inking
Geyser.
like 4 times. He would ink Geyser and then he'd
yeah.
Dude.
be back to 6 immediately.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
really
Yeah.
cool.
It
He
was
Yeah.
was
cool.
he had the Hades in there, 3 of Hades, 4
Okay.
Ink Geyser,
Yeah.
4 You're Welcome.
His
I
uninkable
mean,
count probably
I
wasn't that
guess
high.
the only
Or
item
maybe it
in
was.
there was the quill. The only one drop in there is the little Clarabelle, and then you had your Ursula, your Tipos, your
Mhm.
Sales, and then the develop was the other one drop. Sorry, so you can kind of, dude, I might pick
Okay.
this up. Justin, if you're watching, man, you destroyed me, and now I'm kind of thinking about playing the deck you built.
Kind of vibing with it.
Yeah, because
I don't know. I don't think in the metagame it's going to be good. Because I don't think it does well in the discard, and I don't think it'll do well in the Steel Song.
that was the one that, like the discard.
Mhm.
There's the only song it like the Ursulas can hit is the You're Welcome. There's no other songs in there,
Oh.
but you
Is
are
he playing
absolutely
Bend or no?
No,
no bend.
Okay. So different. Okay, got it.
That would
which
be
I think I like.
disgusting.
I think I like that more though. I think with his
If
version,
you ink geyser somebody, and then the following turn you bend them.
it's not nice. It's just
Not
not nice.
not nice.
I think I'd be rage. If someone did that to me, I think I would rage.
Ink
Exactly
Geyser.
why it needs to be built, dude. Oh my god. Can
Oh
you
man.
imagine you like you do
Ink
it ink for turn, uh quill, and then
Bell Ink.
dude, and then the next turn you're just like, all right, bend, and then
Yep.
just
Yep.
Because it was disgusting. If he stuck the Clarabelle and then Ink Geysered you, just massive amounts of cards in hand.
Yeah, for sure.
It like just locked you out. So
there we go. There's our. We good with C tier for Sapphire Emerald?
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
I think it might be. I think I probably have it higher C tier, but I think like all four of the C tier decks are kind of just like if you catch someone on the right, if you catch the right
it's
side
like
of the
a
deck.
wait and see. I could see any of
Wait
these
and see,
decks
but also
doing
like
okay.
if it's sometimes it's just your day. If it's just your day, you catch the right, you see the right side of the room, you see the right side of your deck, you're gonna do well with any four of those decks. I feel like, but again, like it just comes down to like what you see. Again, like and the Mufasa, it's just like how lucky are you feeling? Hit the roulette wheel.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's our tier list.
There it is, with 5 games of testing between the three of us.
Yeah.
And opinions. Living on opinions and a dream.
Yep. For sure.
So
awesome. Now we wait for some more news.
Yeah.
Set champs are actually, I was going to say around the corner, but we still have a month. It feels like it is. This whole thing slowly turning into a blur. I keep thinking back to nationals, going to California. It feels like almost like a year ago.
Bro, it was like,
it's only
like 3 months
been
ago.
3 months, 4 months now, I guess.
That was crazy. That was wild.
But
wild
man, yeah. So
now
and
you
then
wait for
it is, as you mentioned, it's going to be a little strange because we're going to go like set champs right into set release. Like the last weekend is the 25th, I think, for set champs, and then the following weekend is the LGS release.
Yep.
So that'll be super interesting.
Yeah.
And I know we kind of spoke about it on a previous podcast, but I am 100% convinced that rotation is a coming. And probably towards the end of the year, if I had to guess.
He was dodging that question all day. Everybody was asking. I even asked at one point. I was like, "So when is rotation?" I put that in the Q&A thing, and he was like, "That's a Bruno question. We can't
we don't talk about it."
Yeah. So
I'll be honest. That's probably there. That's probably there. I don't know the answer yet, but it's probably being talked about.
It exists. Yeah.
We'll see.
I think we're gonna get a lot more news in the next few weeks. I really
hope so.
do.
This month is gonna be huge.
Yeah,
definitely. A lot of stuff to look forward to. And even then, outside of that, we got a lot of events coming up. In May and June. So should be a good time for Lorcana. I don't think none of us are playing really this weekend. So I might be casting that encounter or helping out. I might do some remote casting for it.
Nice, dude.
We'll see. Yeah,
where's it at?
It's at Encounter in Allentown. It's like 2 hours. It's like an hour and a half from me.
How far is that from Indianapolis?
Indianapolis?
Far, dude.
Indiana to Pennsylvania? It's like 10-hour drive, maybe.
Is that really that far?
Yeah, Indianapolis is far, bro.
Okay.
Use the great Google machine.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up after. Maybe you'll see me show up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, now with the band, he's willing to make these crazy drives.
Everyone's gonna come up to these random events. That Toledo 10K or whatever it is.
Oh man, I wish that was going. I think Ohio's actually kind of close to Indianapolis.
That one actually is close.
Ohio's closer to me.
What?
Not to Indianapolis. No, you're not.
Ohio?
Ohio's not close to North Carolina. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it is. It's like a 11-hour drive, I think.
That's far, dude. 11 hours is far.
I do 12 to get down to South Florida.
Oh my god.
This guy he won't drive 11 hours. He won't drive 10 hours to see me, but he'll drive 11 hours to go to Toledo, Ohio.
For a 10K, you got a 10K city at your house?
Oh my god.
Oh man, we got off the rails here.
Yeah, for real. Way off the rails. Yeah, I got nothing else. So
yeah, ICL starting up next week.
Yep.
Round 3, baby.
We'll do another podcast next week after we get some testing in. So look for some videos. Actually, I might try to get something out soon because I think the list I have is pretty strong. So if I keep feeling like it's good enough, I'll put it out there so people can start messing with it. Give me some feedback. So that's all I got.
I think that's all we got today. Like I said, just thank you everyone for hanging out, tuning in. If you're watching on VOD, thank you for making it all the way to the end. Listen to us talk about this fun little card game that we all love.
Yeah.
But yeah. So closing thoughts. Anything else you want to add, Brian, before we sign off here?
No, man, just happy to be here. Super stoked for the future. Great step in the right direction today.
Bye,
Uh,
Hiram.
yeah.
You will not be missed.
R.I.P. There are so many memes today. Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so my wife Samantha was like, "Why do you keep like, why are you smiling?" I'm just like trying to show her, but she doesn't understand
No.
the one next to the
Yeah, the
gravestone.
great one. I saw like 10 different versions of that one.
And she's like, but funny enough though, she's like, I showed her the card that got banned. She's like, "Don't you play that card?" I was like, "Yeah, but I'm cool with it. I'm happy about it."
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, now I gotta wait at least a month before I can really play again. So, lots of
Yeah.
testing to be done.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it.
So, all right. Well,
Awesome.
thank you guys for hanging out with us, tuning in. Hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your night. For the rest of Freedom Gaming, I am John.